For our topic, we chose to do a research paper on the impact of industrialization food systems on Native American health. In this video, we will be talking about the traditional farming practice called the Three Sisters and give a couple of traditional Native American recipes that you can try at home. In Native American culture, there is a traditional agricultural practice called the Three Sisters. In this practice, they plant 3 crops together, which includes corn, beans, and squash. In this method, each plant benefits from the others. The corn provides structure for the beans to climb, the beans add nitrogen to the soil, and the squash helps retain moisture with its leaves. This method is often considered a symbol of community and interdependence among the plants, much like sisters, hence the name. This method also represents a deep connection to the land and traditional agricultural practice among many Native American tribes. Today, this practice isn't as commonly used. Industrialization and modern agricultural practices has shifted the focus towards monoculture, where single crops are grown extensively. These large corporations that mass-produce crops often use chemical fertilizers and pesticides, which take away the nutrients and the traditions of Native American culture. Additionally, colonialism has led to a decline in use of traditional farming methods like the Three Sisters, and as a result, many indigenous people have had to adapt to Western agricultural practices, which also overlooks the ecological benefits and cultural significance of traditional practices. Many people make soup or stew with the Three Sister vegetables, and it's called the Three Sisters stew or Three Sister soup. And today I went to the store and I bought beans, corn, and a butternut squash, because usually it's like a winter squash that you use. And today it's very convenient for people to buy canned vegetables compared to freshly grown vegetables. Even in most of the recipes that I looked at, it says canned corn or canned beans or whatever. And this takes away a lot of nutrients, and oftentimes they add sugars and salts and preservatives to these, which can contribute to a higher sodium level and reduces overall health benefits. And this is a big reason for the rise of obesity and diabetes in Native American communities.
I will be making a Native American dish called wasabi. Oftentimes, the Native Americans used berries such as cranberries, blackberries, blueberries, huckleberries, and boysenberries to make this sauce. They often used a variation of these berries along with some type of sugar, whether that was maple syrup, they would make that by boiling sap, or nowadays people use normal cane sugar or maple syrup that is store-bought to make this recipe. The first step of this recipe is to wash your berries and collect 2 cups of berries. To make this wasabi, I will be using 2 cups of blackberries and blueberries. The next step will be to wash 2 cups of blueberries and blackberries. And now washing my berries under the warm water. Here I have my 2 cups of washed blueberries and blackberries. I will now be adding 1/4 cup of water and my 2 cups of blackberries and blueberries to a saucepan over medium heat. Traditionally, Native Americans would make this over a wood-burning fire and not a stove, but now that we are in modern times, I will be using the stove that I have in my kitchen. Now, I will let this sit for about 20 to 30 minutes until the berries start melting down and forming a thick sauce-like paste, mixing periodically to make sure none of the berries burn at the bottom of the pot. The wasabi dish was used by Native Americans to top various different foods, including meats such as deer, elk, and bison. This wasabi dish gave extra flavor to the meat that could otherwise be bland and dry. This is the finished wasabi sauce. It can be served both hot and cold depending on what you want to put it on. Oftentimes, when the Native Americans would use this sauce, they would put it over meat, and they would prefer it to be warm to keep the meat warm. But I will be serving it over ice cream, which a lot of people do traditionally these days to make their ice cream have a little bit more flavor. So I want the wasabi to be cold. Wasabi is very delicious. I hope you make it too.
So I chose to make cornbread because it has been a staple in many different cultures, but for Native Americans, corn is a big part of their history and the different traditions that they have. So for centuries, a lot of Native American communities grew corn as a key crop, and they used corn to make different types of dishes. like cornbread, for example, with simple and natural ingredients that they would grow. But the food systems became industrialized in the US and everything changed for them. Because these foods are processed, many Native communities today face high rates of diet-related issues like diabetes and heart disease and other health problems due to the shift in their traditional diets that they usually would eat. More traditional diet like whole foods could help reverse some of these health problems and bring back the benefits of foods like cornbread in its most natural form instead of box form or quick mix form. So for this recipe for the cornbread, I'm going to be using flour, cornmeal, sugar, baking powder, oil, salt, milk, and eggs. Okay, so I'm going to start by making my cornbread. I'm going to start with 1 cup of flour, and then 1 cup of cornmeal, 3.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and then 1/3 cup of sugar, and then milk, and then 1 egg. And then it should look like this, and then keep stirring until everything is combined. So make sure to preheat your oven to 400 degrees and then bake for about 20 to 25 minutes depending on what kind of pan you use. I'm going to use like a muffin tin because it's easier to pour and eat. Then after greasing your pan, fill the tins with the mixture that we made. And then they should look like this in the tin. And then when they're done, they should look like this. Corn or maize holds a big significance for Native Americans because it is one of the 3 sister crops along with squash and beans. And to Native Americans, cornbread represents a strong connection to their heritage and culture. And it is also used for their daily lives or just some traditional ceremonies that they would hold.